let's have a second attempt to this, mate, and hopefully we can show everyone the stuff that we've been talking about and showcase some of your work on this on a better layout.
Yeah, we can overcome technology.
Hopefully. So obviously, just like how we attempted last time. For those that aren't aware of who you are, you're Robert, based out in Canada, but in Toronto.
West Coast in Vancouver.
Vancouver. I don't know why I knew I should have known that. Vancouver. So, how did it all start again for you? Obviously, I know the story anyway, because obviously we talk quite a bit, which is really cool. I feel like I've known you most of my life already.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
So. I'm just so. I mean, we talked about before. I was the kid that took stuff apart at home and put it back together in some other way it wasn't meant to be. And then, as I got older, I was building some bicycles and stuff like that. And once I kind of had the bicycle thing down, I figured, well, I can build a motorcycle. How hard could that be? So all a learning lesson.
You're certainly doing well at it. It's like the attention to detail that you're pulling out on your creations is incredible. So obviously, what, like you say, so you started obviously pulling bikes apart. It kind of went from there pretty quickly. What age was you when you started pulling push bikes apart and chopping them up?
I was about 9, and my dad, he brought home a 38 Chevy businessman's coupe and put it in the garage. So then all the regular cars lived outside, and that was in the garage, and that was a project. So I guess, Dad kind of got it started in that sense. And then, from there, like as a kid, I was always looking for something I wasn't specific to any one thing, gears and wheels. Didn't matter if it was a car, a truck, a bicycle, a wheelbarrow. Even at one point, me and a buddy of mine thought that maybe customizing wheelchairs.
That's cool.
It sucked to have to roll around in a wheelchair. So maybe a guy could, put some shiny wheels and cool paint on a wheelchair. So just you get all kinds of ideas, and it just expanded from there.
So what age was you when you first got your hands on the first motorbike then?
On the first motorcycle that I built was roughly 10 years ago. Yeah, it was a little bit later in life when I had a job and some money, because you needed free. You couldn't build anything for free, even if it was just getting metal and supplies and stuff like that. So I got into that. But like 10 years ago when I moved to Vancouver, I used to live in the interior, which is about 800 or 600, 500 miles north of where I am right now. And I didn't really get into it until I got down here into Vancouver. And motorcycles kind of started off then, just because down here it's so expensive to if you want to have nice stuff, you need a place to keep your nice stuff. So you could store a lot more motorcycles in a smaller space than you could cars. But I ended up doing both, cars and bikes and bicycles and whatever. But the intention was to have a space that I could park 5 or 6 bikes in over the course of time. And then it just, now I have a 4,000 square foot place.
Yeah.
It just has my, it's all just my personal stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, and obviously that's the place that you showed. Obviously, because since we attempted the first podcast, we spoke quite a few times. That's the garage that you showed me on camera, isn't it?
Yeah, the bunker in the side of the earth. Yeah.
Yeah, which for people that obviously, to just try and describe it, it's anyone that wants to wrench on something, it's a wrencher's paradise, really, is that place, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's got a
It's
place.
cool. It's cool.
Yeah, like some of the places I had before, like when I first kind of got into it, I had to share a space, and there was about 6 of us, which was great, and we were all really good friends and all that kind of stuff. But the only issue was, because it was a shared space, if you started pulling something apart, and then at the end of the day or the evening or whatever, when it was time to go, you had to put all your stuff away because you didn't know who was going to need the space next. So now I can, if I take something apart, I can lay it out on the workbench, but I can leave it laid out. And then when you get back the next day, it's not, you have to figure out where you were because it's laid out in front of you. So yeah, space is super nice.
So like obviously with the bikes, like you know, when we spoke before, like so you've made the front page of like the Backstreet Heroes magazine in the UK.
Yeah, times, yeah.
So with the copper bike, obviously, yeah, like say a couple of times. What inspired you to go down? Because obviously, looking at the bikes you build, they're very artistic. So what inspired you to go down like that that route?
Well, on the copper bike, the most recent one. I had some pretty serious health issues, and that stopped me from working, you know, a normal job, and stopped me from doing lots of things. And when I spent a fair bit of time in the hospital, and when I got out, it's just like it was put out in parole. I wanted to build another bike to kind of get my hands working, and to I kind of had to reinvent myself, kind of recharge and start again. So I started building that copper bike, and most of the stuff I do is like, it has some kind of story. So that one, like those pictures you're looking at, there's a story that's above it. But the bike's called Soul Asylum. And I think I maybe said last time. So the soul is a part of the human that's believed to be immortal, and asylum is a place of refuge. So I went kind of on a mission to get myself working and get myself, you know, back at it. And so this particular bike, it took a long time. Like, it was just, even when I was out of the hospital, even it was 4 months before I could even get out of the house. I wasn't allowed to drive, stuff like that. So once I got to the point where I could drive, I'd go out to the shop, and maybe I'd be 15 minutes before I'd be too tired and I'd have to come home and not done anything. But I just had to keep, kind of keep the drive going so that I didn't fall away from, you know, telling that particular story. Yeah, so it was kind of, as far as it goes, it was kind of an emotional, mental health kind of build.
Which I suppose, really, looking at it, like the way you look at the bike, how it's very organic, isn't it? It's not like some bikes, like Pro Street style, are very sharp machine, CNC, millimeter exact, you know, measurements. Obviously, your bike will be millimeter perfect within its performance, but you can see that there's quite a lot of like emotion. You can kind of see the emotions within. Obviously, you know yourself, sculpting metal is done by hand, so it's done with feel, it's done with emotions, and then you can kind of see that in the bike's telling its story, isn't it, for you?
Yeah, on the 2 pictures that you have up there right now, on the second one where you can see the jockey shift, like that's, you know, forged in fire, and you know, so it could have had lots of different looks, or I just could have got a piece of some sort of metal and, you know, made just a straight, you know, not change the shape or whatever. You know, it's a little baby dragon. I think somewhere too, I think on that one you got a picture of the kickstand somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So the kickstand is that's a piano stool foot.
Wow.
And I had a piece of titanium. Well, my friend had a piece of titanium that he donated to the project. So I turned the kickstand on the lathe and made it so that I could put the two pieces together and core drilled the titanium and whatever. So even just to make the kickstand, it was quite a bit of work, but it didn't really matter because I was just, speed wasn't an issue. I wasn't, not like one of these Orange County choppers and it's got to be ready in 7 days and, the ridiculousness of all that. It was I could take as much time as I wanted. So, and then as it, again, my opinion, it turned out pretty cool. Serves a function when the ignition's on the motorcycle, because it doesn't have keys. So when the ignition's on, the glass ball at the bottom of the foot glows, and then when you flip it up, it becomes a running light.
Yeah, which we spoke about before, which I think's cool. Well, I think I said to you last time that's the first thing I thought. I thought that looks as if it's the rear light for the bike. When you're riding it.
In those pictures that I sent you, if you look at the 68. I think I sent you a picture of actually the kickstand up from behind so you can see the running light, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, it was just a matter of, you get an idea. And, I mean, they always evolve, right? It never stays to exactly what you thought, but it doesn't get very far away from your concept. It's little things that change or get more refined, or even in some cases less refined, just for the look.
So I've just been scrolling down here, and so obviously I just noticed here you got the front page of Canadian Biker.
Yeah.
Talk us a bit through that. What was that like? I mean, I don't know if you saw on Monday. I had a guy on also who's had several features. He had his first feature at the age of 18. Shout out to Jim, Jay, who's watching from Heron Cycles. And so explain, because I've never had a bike featured. So explain what it was like seeing your bike on the front cover of the, as well as Backstreet Heroes. As what was it like seeing that?
Yeah. So the Canadian Biker front cover was. That was kind of my first. It was the first magazine that came out. But that being said, both Canadian Biker and Backstreet Heroes did it at the same time. And when it happened, I think I might have told you this story last time. I don't know that. I'm just trying to link it to go live, but I don't see the. Maybe.
Oh yes, yeah. So whilst you're doing that, for the people that are watching, if you guys could just hit I keep forgetting to do this all the time. If you could just hit the share button on the live stream, it'll just help reach out to more people who might be interested in what we're doing here. So obviously, where it has the live, just share it as if you'd share a post, and it certainly helps out quite a bit. So it's Yeah, so obviously you were saying you had both front page features about the same time then.
Yeah. So I selected I just invited everybody. Oh, copy link. There we go.
Awesome.
So they both came out at the same time, which was like a super a little bit surreal, right? Because initially when they were talking about, I was going to be on the cover. I then said, okay, well, that's fine. Send them a bunch of pictures and stuff like that, and said, ideally, I appreciate that I'm going to be on the cover, but I don't need to be on the cover. We can have a picture with a sexy girl and traditional, more traditional motorcycle kind of stuff. And both magazines, Canadian Biker and Backstreet Heroes had me on the cover. So that was kind of like, holy cow, I'm on the newsstand, my actual self. So that was all great. And at that time, I'd come to London. I have a sister that lives in Spain. So I'd come to London to, when I come to London, I stay over for a few days before I go visit my sister. And when I was there, I decided I'm going to go to the Ace Cafe, because you got to go there if you're, any kind of believer in the past, I guess. So I went to the Backstreet Heroes, and I go in there. So here I am in England, and I'm in Ace Cafe, and the magazine was current on the shelf there. So I walk in, and there, you get some kind of semi-puzzled looks from guys. And then when I went, so I had a bite to eat there, and, had a good visit. And then when I left, the following day was going to Spain, getting on the airplane, going to Spain. And I'm in the airport, and this guy comes up to me and says, "Oh man," he says, "I know you from somewhere." And I'm like, "Well, I'm from Canada." I said, "I've been here for 2 days. It's unlikely that you know me, but, hey, how you doing?" And the guy said, "Yeah, no." He says, "I know you from somewhere." And then maybe, I don't know, we have a bit of a chat and whatever. We're waiting in line to go through security or whatever it was. And the guy says, he comes back, says, "Oh," he says, "I know where I know you from." He says, "You're on my coffee table at home." So he had a subscription to Backstreet Heroes, and he recognized me from the cover of the magazine, which was like it was super weird, right? Because you're not, my goal was never to build something just to be on the cover of a magazine. That was never so when it all then happened, it was a pretty strange event, I suppose, in your life, right? Because I go from living in Vancouver to being now worldwide. Somebody in Venezuela picked it up, and then I started getting, stuff from Venezuela, and it sprouted all over the place. And then when I got back, I ended up there's another magazine, it's called Revolution, and they do just V-twins. It's all they do is V-twin motorcycles. And they did a 7-page spread with the first bike, and
which is the first bike's the copper bike, isn't it? Not the one that's on the front page of the Canadian, because that's the flame bike, isn't it?
The flame bike is the first bike.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So they did 7 pages, whatever it was, and it was the first time in that magazine's history that they featured a non-V-twin motorcycle. And then they had a national calendar, or a North American calendar. It was quite a big calendar. And they featured it in November of the year of that calendar, because it was my birthday's in November, so they put it in the calendar. I forgot one thing. I got 1 second. Anyways, I was in a big glossy calendar and all that kind of stuff, and then it ended up in Custom Culture in the magazines produced in Daytona in Florida, and then it made a couple other magazines and stuff, and then it was all self-satisfying, I suppose.
So both the first 2 bikes you built were both BSAs. Is that right? Is it?
Yeah, because I when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to build a bike. I did at that time. That was like kind of at the height of Orange County choppers and all that kind of stuff. And I was not going to walk down that path. I didn't want to build some goofy something. So I specifically went non-V-twin. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to do a V-twin 100%, but I wasn't particularly interested in a Japanese motorcycle either. And not because not because they're no good or anything like that, just because for a custom build, especially on my first one, I wanted to walk my own path. So BSA is not a super well-known thing over here. So I figured that that was the route to go. And
was it hard to source parts for a BSA over in Canada? I mean,
not really. I mean, I use a guy, the Moto Parts Inc. They're in the next province over, and he is a supplier of English motorcycle parts. That's all. He's no anything else other than English stuff. So Norton, Triumph, BSA, he supplies all of that kind of bits and pieces for, motor pieces and stuff like that. And then anything else that I didn't have from there, I kind of became familiar with, using the lathe and the milling machine. And I've got a friend that's got a properly equipped shop. It's what he does for a living. I think I told you, he does injection molds. He's a mold maker. So he let me, if his equipment wasn't being used, I was allowed to use it for the,
nice.
Like I have a lathe in my shop as well. I've got a little lathe and a big lathe, but he has like the, the ones that you can put into, 0.0001 of a dimension. So if I need to make some bushings or stuff like that, it was, I didn't have to read it off a dial. It was that precise. So, and I had access to it. So yeah, if I couldn't buy it, I could make it.
Oh, that's good, isn't it? Because I can't imagine. I mean, I know that the BSA parts in the UK alone, they're not cheap to buy. So I can't imagine them being any better over there, really.
Well, it's not bad. Like the guy that I deal with here, he has lots of, like, if there's an old dilapidated something, he'll buy the whole thing, and then he'll take the nuts and bolts apart, put the shocks over there and the tank over there, and do all that kind of stuff. So if you can't get it new, good chance that you might have a used one, and maybe you have to recondition it or whatever. Like just as an example, I just bought a A65 dual carb motor. It's a complete motor. It turns over, but I've never run it, whatever, but I needed, I just wanted to get a motor for parts, as it were. And I think I paid $500 for a complete motor minus the carbs.
Well, that's cheap, isn't it?
So yeah, so if you got to put a few dollars into it to recondition it, the pictures I sent you on the copper bike, I don't know if you've seen the chain tensioner.
I don't think so. I think
so on the copper bike, I needed a chain tensioner to get rid of the chain slap, and so I made one that bolts to the 37 degree on the frame, so that it can't spin side to side or tip forward, and then a skateboard wheel is the runner for the chain.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have it. I don't have it on here though.
Yeah. Anyways, so like I could build stuff like that too, because he's got a couple of CNC machines as well, and his machinist that's there is he's super good at helping out with that kind of stuff. So yeah, so far I've been pretty unlimited to what I have access to and what I can make and stuff like that. It's been good. And even when I was thinking about it, in theory, when you get back into the days that most of the stuff were built, they were all built by hand. We had no micro millimeter CNC machines and stuff like that. So we have better tools. So you should be able to make everything that was made by hand today if it was made by hand then, because we've got better tools to do it with now and stuff. So, yeah, no fear. If you get it in your brain,
definitely.
if you get it in your brain, there's a way to get it out. You got to figure out what the best way to do it is.
I mean, do you think that they like for example, if you obviously strip down a motor and you're rebuilding it, do you think that the engine itself appreciates finer tuning, like in the modern day, like measurements and things? Do you think that they appreciate that more?
You know what? I just think they're happy to be alive. You know, sometimes you walk with a limp, sometimes you don't, but you're just happy to be walking. And I think it's the same because it's all that's, if you were had to rebuild a new F1 200 horse sport bike motor, it requires the precision. But the old mechanical stuff, it's all mechanical. It's a little bit visceral. And like I said, I think it's just happy to be out of the box and out in the sun. You give everything a little bit of its own personality and its own life. So.
Yeah, definitely. So like, obviously, and do you put any modern components in it? I think we might have touched on this last time, but I can't really remember.
Yeah, like on the first bike, I did cam, full head work, motors balanced, and to balance it, that was literally shaving and sanding the connecting rods and stuff like that to make it good. So it had a cam. The carburetors, I didn't rebuild them. I just went straight to AMO and got 2 brand new 930s and that and the ignition. I did away with the points and condenser setup, and I got an electronic ignition. I used the Tri-Spark. I think we mentioned it before. I used the Tri-Spark one because that stuff's amazing and it's so simple to use. It's got no modules and things like that. It's just like a puck, and you take out the old stuff, put in the new stuff, and wire it. And you can even wire it positive earth or negative earth, depending on if you were going to wire it up to your Lucas stuff. Then it's positive earth, but you can wire it up. Their stuff's really good. So I've used that on all my BSA stuff. I've used that.
So with like when you rebuilt an end, do you go over like bought oversized pistons, or will you just shave them down to clean the bore up before you rebuild it? Or?
Yeah, generally I don't think done one that's not 40 over, because by the time you clean it up and years of age, I don't put bigger pistons in it for performance. I put bigger pistons in it because the holes are bigger.
Right.
Just as they wear over the years, the holes are just physically bigger. So to put in a small piston, like I know some guys that when they're rebuilding stuff, they don't care if it gives a little puff of blue smoke when it starts, and they don't care if it drips a little bit of oil. And for me, I have none of that. It should work the way it does when it gets off the factory. It doesn't drip and puff blue smoke, so it shouldn't. Hi, buddy. Hi, bud. My dog. So yeah, it's do it by necessity, not because it's mandatory. Yeah.
See, I got I think before, like one of my friends, he's got a Gold Star replica, so an A10. But I don't know much about BSA, so I'm not even going to attempt to sound like I do. And he was very similar, so he wanted reliability, but he wanted it to still look original. So like when he went down having this CDI unit, he's got like the fake leads where it looks like it comes out the side of the magneto casing and or the side casing and all that. So he just wanted reliability, but he's got the company called, is it CMS? I think.
SRM.
SRM. Sorry. Yeah. He's got SRM like conrods. I mean, I've seen the invoices for some of this stuff, and it's like,
in mine I put the SRM oil pumps. they're a high volume, good oil pressure pump, and
Yeah.
they just work so well. I've got a friend of mine that he's about 80 now, but he used to be over in England when SRM was getting rolling. So they used to use his bike for testing their new parts and stuff like that. He was a courier in London. So they used his motorcycle for testing. Wow. So they make something new or whatever, put it in him. So he's still got that bike, whatever, it's 30 or 40 years later. He's still got that bike, and it's a 840. So it's got the SRM jugs and the whole setup to make an 840 from the 650.
Wow. I mean, what does that? Sorry, so to go to. Are you talking like to go to an 840? Would you literally be popping the sleeve out and just having an overall bigger sleeve? Because surely the wall thickness on that 840 is going to be, you're going to be pushing your limit, I reckon.
Yeah, but SRM makes a new jug,
right?
So that solves that problem, and of course, then they make all the other components to go with it. So yeah, I always bug him that when he's now talking about getting rid of the bike. So I told him I'd like to swap maybe a motor that I have, put it into his bike, because his bike is bone stock in appearance, except for this highly built 840 motor. So if he decides he wants to get rid of the bike, I'd like to get the motor and then just get him back a good working motor. So if he sells the bike, it then becomes a stock motorcycle, and I've got some crazy motor to make a big brother of what I already have.
So I can imagine the torque output on that is. I mean, just starting the thing. I mean, I wouldn't like my foot to slip off the kicker on that. He's quite a character, this guy, and he's been riding that bike basically since it was new. A courier driver courier delivery guy, and that's what he did to support himself until he came to Canada, and I guess found his wife and settled down and whatever. But yeah, it's cool. That's cool. So he was originally he was actually born in UK and then immigrated to Canada.
I think he was originally born in Canada, went to the UK as a 10 or 12-year-old, something like that, and then he was there for a number of years, and worked and survived and did everything over there until he returned back to Canada.
No, that's cool. That's cool. So with it's kind of going back to your bike here. I've got a picture up here with it during its chopping down stage. So when you set out to do the geometry, when you set out to do the hardtail section on the frame, that's a stage. Bear with me a sec. How do you go about making all the tube, the hardtail section of the frame? Do you literally just eyeball it and bend the pipes, or?
So on that one, because I wanted all kinds of crazy stuff done. It stretched 14 inches, went down a couple inches. The goose is stretched out the front, the tail stretched out the back. And at that time, didn't have a tubing bender. So me and a friend of mine, we put some concrete anchors in the floor to hold the ends of the tubes. And we made a bottle jack thing that we could pin to the floor. And then it was put in the bar, count, okay, this one's 7 pumps of the hydraulic jack, and then you put the other bar in, 7 pumps of the hydraulic jack, make sure they're the same, and if they were the same, then stop. So that they were the same, and it was done completely by, you made sure you went full to the top, full to the bottom. That's 1. Full to the top, full to the bottom. That's 2. And then later on, a tubing bender came into the thing, which of course made it a lot easier, but we used the same setup, to do the kickstart arm on that. I liked how all the stuff on the BSA is very round.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make a kickstand that followed the curve of the motor, and we used that same thing, the floor and some concrete anchors in the floor, and got the kickstand out or the Kickstarter out and heated up with a torch, and it was a bit of a drunken episode, but it turned out really good. And then had it done, re-chromed it, and it worked out perfect. Like if you see a picture of the other side of that bike where the kick pedal is, you can see how it curves around the motor. Same as the exhaust. I wanted it to curve around the motor.
Just see it here, just behind you. I don't think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You there, mate?
Yeah, you can see how it curves up on the on the round. The oil tank was an old air accumulator of an old vintage airplane, and it was all kind of like beat up and looked super cool. And I was going to leave that unpainted, just leave it in its. But then that's where the ticking time bomb came from. I got a bomb underneath my seat, so I ended up having to paint it up and whatever.
That's cool. Who did the paint job on it, Robert?
I did.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
It's funny when I see that. So the day the picture was taken, I forgot about it till just now. If you look at the picture of the Canadian biker, no, back up to the one on the cover. You notice my riding gear, my boots and stuff. When the photographer showed up, I just want you to take it so I can have a in motion shot. And when the magazine came out, there was lots of people that give me you got your socks and your loafers on, Yeah, my bright white socks.
But there's absolutely no wrong or right way to rock it whilst riding the bike, is there? That's how you want to go down the road. That's how you want to go down the road.
Yeah, when I ride my sport bikes, when I ride my sport bikes, I wear my gear. When I ride these, I tend to just, gloves, a helmet, generally boots, but that's tend to be the way I rock it there, because you don't have the same speeds and stuff like that. And if you get hit by a car, if somebody runs a light and you can get hit by a car, it doesn't matter whether you're wearing your leathers or not. There used to be this this old biker guy that I used to know. For a while in Canada, we had a no helmet law.
Oh, cool.
And and how he addressed it was, he said that the difference between wearing a helmet and not wearing a helmet, if you're not wearing a helmet, when your head hits the road, you're done. When you're wearing a helmet, the only difference is when you hit the road and your head hits the road and you got your helmet on, all it does, your helmet hits the road, snaps your head forward and breaks your neck, and it's all over anyways. So
either way.
Yeah, he says either way, it's, so ride accordingly. And
I mean, like for me, I have so I've got here I got my armored jacket, which I think it looks like a normal, and it's got the
carbon fiber,
got the padding, and it's and so I wear my waistcoat not all the time, but to be fair, in the winter. So I've been out today. I mean, to me, I know you guys experience a lot colder weather, but to me it's cold here. I was out today, and I got a hoodie on underneath. I got my jacket on over the top. Put my cut on, and then the cut literally just keeps the wind off my chest, and your arms don't. I found really it's here in this area here that you feel the cold the most.
I find my hands.
Yeah,
wear gloves and I'm good.
See, I can't wear. I've actually got a pair of motorbike gloves here. For me, I'll wear I got So what I wear at the moment is normal leather building gloves.
Yeah, I do as well, like a deer skin.
Yeah. They've got to be thin. I've got to be able to feel everything. I can't do all this where you can't at the end of the day, your hands are what are controlling the bike, really. I know. Obviously, you steer with your feet and all that type of stuff. But typically speaking, if you can't feel the front brake and you can't feel the throttle and you can't feel the clutch,
Are you a front braker?
Yeah. I don't really use back brake.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
There seems to be a bit of varying opinions on that, but yeah, I'm a totally front brake guy.
Which is crazy, really, because I think I spoke to you before about my 125 that I'm going to redo. I'm actually now considering completely removing the front brake completely, because to be honest, the front brake on my 125 was really obviously, it's not doing any speeds that I know when you've got to stop, but the front brake was appalling on it anyway, and I'm going for such a minimalistic look. And to be fair, the drum brake outperforms the front brake a million times over. So I'm thinking of like just shaving the forks down, cutting all the lugs off where the caliper went, shave them all off. I mean, I'd like to also remove the lugs for where it holds the front mudguard. Yeah. But unfortunately, in the UK, when it comes to doing an MOT, like your roadworthy inspection, you require by law a mudguard on covering the front wheel.
Oh yeah.
So I've got to either leave the lugs on or work out a way that I can mount something briefly to remove.
Well, here's my I'm just gonna stand for a second, see if I can. That didn't really help. So check your law and see how it's written.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's lots of gray areas.
Well, so here's how the law is written here, because I should have on my first bike as well a front mudguard as well. It's a requirement as well. But how the law is written, there's no specification on what size it has to be. It has to be something on or over the wheel that changes water flow. So if you look, there's up on you can't really see it in the picture. There's a bandana that's tied to the front neck. And if it rains, I can take that bandana and I can tie it between the two forks.
Okay.
And then the bandana covers the top of the wheel. So by definition in the law, that is considered a mudguard. So, because I did the same thing, I removed all the brackets and everything for the mounts for the fender, and my way around it was just, if it's raining, you just take literally a bandana, tie it between the two forks, and have it as close to the wheel as you can, and that by definition is a mudguard.
Does it work? Because I mean, I've got on my ZX10, I've got a mudguard that's about, I don't know, I mean, in inches, I'd say it's about 10 inches. And I tell you what, it comes straight up the wheel, misses the mudguard, straight up the front of the bike.
Yeah. No, it absolutely does not work, but it meets the requirement.
It meets the requirements.
Yeah. So check out your laws and see how that works.
Yeah, so like here, so we have kind of like a thing. Well, this is how all my friends and people that I know that have chopped bikes have told me is. So by law here, if it came fitted with indicators, it required indicators. But there's kind of like a grey area that if there was no sign of there ever being indicators or turn signals, for whoever doesn't know, some people call them turn signals. If there was no evidence of there ever being a loom on the bike, the switch, any indicate, like the dummy lights in the Speedo, for example, if there was no evidence of them ever being there, they kind of left you alone. So like having no indicators has never been a problem. But obviously with the mudguard, it's like I need to obviously look into that for my.
Yeah, like I say, just check it out. I don't know how it works there, but I know here, because when built that bike, I wanted to make it street legal by definition.
Yeah.
So, like, the license plate has to be 18 inches off the ground, has to be horizontal, all that stuff. So everything, like even when you see the license plate holder on that one bike, its height meets the 18 inches and so on. And and here for turn signals, they weren't so in a car or like in a car, for example, anything pre 1972 isn't required to have seat belts. A motorcycle, anything pre 1972 is not required to have turn signals and things like that. So when I was looking for that frame section, I looked for something specifically that was older than 1972 because I didn't want turn signals and I didn't want stuff like that because it just takes away from the cleanliness of it, right? So, so that's why even though there's nothing 1972 really left on my motorcycle, the VIN is the original VIN. 1972 was it was a kind of a planned precursor to the whole build, is to make sure that I could get something that I didn't have to run a bunch of stupid stuff. And I mean, not the turn signals are stupid, but if you're capable of riding without them, to have to get a ticket for not having it is silly.
Yeah, see, I don't have them on my one. I mean, I put them on the ZX10 purely and simply because it's like a different kettle of fish of a bike, really. It's obviously a lot quicker. You generally you find yourself wanting to almost filter through traffic. It entices you into doing that. Where what I like with the cruise, with the bobber, with the cruiser style, you kind of don't have, because obviously on a bike, well, yourself, on a bike that wants to go, it's almost so. Like today when I was out, I went round to see a friend of mine, and I said to him, the first time I've been stuck in proper traffic, like stop start. I got to his house and I was like, I was exhausted, and he's like, "What's up with you?" I was like, "It's such hard work to ride this bike." Stop starting, it's heavy, you touch the throttle and you go to pull off from the traffic lights and it just wants to go. And it is, I would say, really, with that bike, for example, I would say it's only enjoyable above 5,000 RPM, 70 mile an hour onwards. And that's the only place it wants to be. I mean, I was out on it yesterday, because we're obviously, as you know, you've been to the UK. The UK doesn't experience very nice days. So I've had the last 2 days where it's been okay. And I was out yesterday, and I was carving up some country roads, and I didn't know this road that I was on, but obviously I'm pushing my luck in a few places, and I've caught this hidden dip in the road, and it was like a left bank dipping and then coming up, obviously, and I'm kind of half angled over, and then next thing there's another dip that I didn't catch, and I'm power wheeling over these dips, holding on for dear life, thinking, fucking hell, just holding on for it and just hoping for the best. And it's
like I have a GSXR 1100, and that I have a ZX7 RR as well, and they're both completely retarded bikes to ride in the city, because you say it's not fun. It's from the light, because you can't go, and the speed limit in town is like 60 kilometers, like 40 miles an hour. Yeah. Well, that thing, like my GSXR, it'll do 90 in first gear.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's horrible to ride in the city.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think like I've said to you before, like I say to people that know me, off the social media platform, that've seen both my bikes, and I'm like, I enjoy my 125 more, and they're like, why? And I'm like, well, ride it and you'll understand. Like I mean, of course, it's not the world's quickest bike, but it's just 80s powered, or the way they deliver it, it's snappy. There's no smoothness to it. Like, you can't even. I would almost say that when you're setting off, like especially after about 10 minutes when the clutch is getting warmer as well, it almost looks like you've never ridden a bike before, because it's, you know, and you're like, and it almost looks like you don't know what you're doing. But if you don't rev it, it wants to bog, and then it pulls.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I say, arm pump where you hold, even though it's a hydraulic clutch, it's heavy, and just give me a cruiser or a bobber. I'd rather, you know what I mean? It's
and the other part of it is that, like, you take my hardtails, you can get into the same exhilaration and that same heart pumping feeling at half the speed.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah,
you know?
it's, exactly. Fully understand. Like, and that's why when I say to people, like, you know, like we've said, is 60 mile an hour on a 125, which is, to me, it's pretty much flat out. I mean, I ride that thing flat out everywhere, because that's what it would. I think if I give it long enough and the wind's behind me, I can get till about 75 mile an hour, and like, I just have so much fun, like, being able to, and I'll go around the same types of country roads, and I mean, I'm not plotting around, you know, I've dragging the foot of my, like the bottom of my foot a couple of times around, because obviously I got mids, I haven't got forwards, and I've got mids, and I've got a set of ape hangers, you know, mini apes on it, and I'll still, like, kind of influence it into a corner, and the front's wanting to skip, and it's bouncing, and it's like
you're waiting for you're waiting for your foot pedals to hit the ground and kick up the back end of the ground and
love it
into whatever. And like I say, you can do that at a speed that, if it happens, you can crash and still hurt yourself, but not to the same degree as when you crash at 180 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thrill. It's just you got better chance of recovery at the other one.
So I have, I mean, I asked Jay the same question last week. So what's it like for you riding a hardtail? Because I've not had the luxury yet. So what's that like?
It's a handful, in the sense that, like, it's. I mean, I guess now, because I've done it for so long, it's what I call comfortable. But like, for example, my stretch bike. And I've said it to friends, and I'll say it to anybody, find a better man than me to ride it for 2 hours without having to get off. I always joke, I put it's got a small fuel tank. It's got like a gallon and a half fuel tank. The reason that is because it'll run an hour and a half on that much fuel. If I put on a bigger tank and it would run 2.5 hours, doesn't matter, because you can't ride it that far without having to stop and get off of it. So it's got a built-in timer. When it needs fuel, that means it's also time to get off, stretch your legs, and let the blood run back to the places it's supposed to be.
So I've got so I'm thinking, I know I was speaking to you the other week, like, about altering the shape of my tank. I have been toying with the idea of putting on like a Sportster style tank, but to be honest, I know it sounds really, I don't like going to fill up the bike. I don't like pulling up at a petrol station. So I would rather almost have it like, the ZX10 is great because it's got a huge tank, but it needs a huge tank because it does use a load of fuel. But I keep thinking, do I get a small little tank? But then I'm like, if I'm going to be using it for work, do I really want to be having to? And I mean, I think I said this to you before. Like, I'll go out on my bike, and my missus, if I ring her within a half an hour, 40-minute period of being on a bike, unless I'm going to the shop to get something, the first thing she says, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Where have you run out of fuel?" Because I'm terrible for pushing my luck. So it's like, do I risk putting a smaller tank on a bike, knowing that there's a chance that?
So just put a pedcock with a reserve,
mate. I'm the type of guy that runs it on reserve.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned, and I mean, it's funny. Like, I don't particularly like stopping at petrol stations and stuff either. I just like to go forever, but you can't. And because of the nature of my bike, it doesn't matter, because you gotta, like, I did a trip from my house to, there's a city close by called Chilliwack, which is about an hour from my house to Chilliwack. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out and see how far I can actually go before I have to stop. And I'm hoping that I could ride from my house to Chilliwack, turn around, and come back without any issues. So I ride out there and I'm coming back, and I get about maybe 10 or 15 minutes from my house. And, I'm starting to go, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm gonna, because I got to prove I can do it. And I got about maybe like literally 7 or 8 minutes away from my house. And I had to pull over. I could not continue. And in my brain, I was telling me I was gonna. And it just finally got to the, hey man, shut up your stupid thinking, pull over and get off the bike. Because I could not physically go any farther than I'd been. So, and that's why I say that 2 hours on that thing, it's maximum. It's great riding it? You get that 2 hour stage, but then, like say, you got to shake blood back into places you got to shake blood.
Well, I mean, for me, like, first thing, I've had 3 operations on my right knee, and I mean, I lose feeling in my right foot, like after about, I mean, like I said, it doesn't really bother me massively because it's like, well, as long as it's on the peg, I mean, and it's not, my foot isn't going to slip off or anything, and I use the front brake mainly anyway, but like I'm forever like dancing my feet on the pegs trying to get, because obviously especially on the ZX10, having like that racy type. See, like when I built that, like people said to me, "Oh, you need clip-ons, and it's like, no way, no. I mean, I'm not saying that it wouldn't have suited to kind of like make it more the cafe racer look. It probably would have looked better with a nice set of like modern, where you got like CNC machine clamps that go around your forks, and all anodized black and that. And I did think, oh yeah, it looked great, but I'm like, I've got to ride that thing. I mean, I would rather fight. I mean, the downside of having straight bars is. And I was saying this the same to my friend today because he's just started riding the 125, and I said the only downside with what sat like that is once you get to about 60 mile an hour, and if you're not kind of almost hunched over a bit, and especially when you're on it, the wind just hits your chest and starts lifting the front, so you're forever like trying to lean down to keep the front. It's almost acts as a sail, and you're like,
I agree with that, but for me, I find it too, when you get that wind under here, it's a bit of a pillow. It kind of supports you a bit. Yeah. So you just got to find the happy spot. But back to the hardtail thing. The one thing about a hardtail is you're paying attention for little potholes and disturbances in the pavement.
Getting ready to.
Because if you go over a little pothole or whatever and you're not paying attention. So imagine you're doing your 60 mile an hour down the road and you hit the fucking pothole and you nut yourself. Oh, because on my green bike especially, my seat is hard mounted to the frame. There's no springs, there's no nothing. So
I was literally going to ask that. Yeah, I was going to ask that then.
So when you hit a pothole or something and it nuts you, man, you'll feel like you want to throw up. You got tears in your eyes. But there's nothing you can do. You're doing 60 mile an hour going down the road.
It's got to go.
Just stop and wish you were somewhere else. You can wish you were somewhere else, but it's just not the reality, right? So, yeah.
So have you got, in your seat, have you got like these new materials, like this gel coat? Have you got any fancy stuff in the seat, or is it literally just
foam?
Foam.
Yeah. Yes, foam and a leather and that's it.
Have you seen these gel pads that you can put in them?
Well, yeah, and sometimes as a bit of a cheater method, I've got some cycling shorts, bicycle, the Tour de France shorts. Yeah. You wear them underneath your jeans because they got a little pad on your ass for for helping out. But you know what? It really doesn't help that much. You just got to get used to it.
Yeah. So I think, like I said to you before, like obviously I'm looking to do. So I'm looking to remove the rear springs on my 125 and have some bars machine. So, and I was actually having a similar conversation with Jay last week, and he said he's actually ridden. He said he's either ridden or built where he's converted to bars, and like he's got. I don't know if you saw. He's got a stretched out. I'm sure it's a shovel. It's an incredible bike. I mean, proper raked out.
Yeah.
Springer front end. You'll see if you watch if you watch the last episode. Anyway, so he said he said like he rides the wheels off it, but he also said like he'd noticed that when he'd ever ridden a bike that had converted to hardtail with just struts in, he said he found it less forgiving. Something, you know, he said due to the way the frame's designed, like it's more of a rigid. Whereas he said you get a bit of flex in a hardtail frame, you know, a bit almost like a natural spring within reason.
I mean, I don't think so. Whether you went to bars or converted to a hardtail's a hardtail. Like my green bike, it has a little bit of forgiveness just because it's so long, so it does have some flex. But the copper bike, it's a hardtail, and it's a hardtail. It used to have a suspension. So, do
you run less tire pressure in the back?
No. Because less tire pressure also is then less performance. Because then you get that wobble to the low tire pressure, that kind of squishy whatever. So I just run it the way they're supposed to be, so that I know that I'm going to feel everything on the road. But at the same time, if you had to zig and get out of the way of something, I don't need the back end to get loose because it doesn't have enough air pressure. Yeah, that's my thoughts, anyways.
Yeah. That's I mean, what are the roads? Are the roads nice over there? Or are they?
They're like any other. The higher traffic the road, the more potholes and things it's got in it. And then if you go into the roads that experience a lot of winter is super hard on them because they, the graders and the plows and stuff are over them all the time, and they get a bit beat up. So, there's no real, there's not a lot of like real super good roads. From my house to Whistler, they just actually recently repaved the whole section of highway from here to Whistler. So then for the first couple of years, man, as soon as the weather was nice, the guys rolling up there on their bikes was crazy because, you could get out and enjoy the road and not have to be so cautious about the conditions.
It's one of the greatest feelings ever, isn't it? When you get on a piece of new, and it's almost like riding on a bed of clouds or something. I don't know, but it's like, oh my God.
Then you don't have all of the additional irritations. It's just you're getting out, enjoying the weather, and riding your bike, and it's all nice. It's it's like sitting on your couch playing a video game.
Definitely.
It just doesn't beat you up the same.
No. Do you get out? Do you get out much on the bikes or?
I do. Like I have the green stretch bike lives at home. I keep it insured all year round. So like in December, if we get a couple nice days in December and it's maybe 1 or 2 degrees, I'll go because they love the cold air. It gives some more power. You get more power and less traction in the cold. So why wouldn't you?
Wow. 1 degree. Mate. I was shivering today. Do you know what I mean? I got off a bike and I was just like, oh my God.
I think it was. I think it's 1 degree. Well, this morning I think it was 1 degree here. It's maybe 4 degrees. Well, here, I'll look. It's maybe 4 degrees.
I think we got something like about 7, 8 degrees here. I think.
Yeah. So the sun's shiny right now, and it's 8 degrees, and then from now until next Wednesday, it's like 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 2 degrees, 2 degrees, 2 degrees, with a high of like 8, 9 degrees. Yeah. And they were calling for snow actually, but it doesn't look like it's going to be cold enough for snow. So, and snow just it's only here a day or two, and then it goes away.
No, that's all right, isn't it? So you got that. You got that tank that was behind it you were showing earlier. What is that? Is that for that? Is that for your Harley project that you're doing? The twin cam project.
Yeah, so I did the old school fuel tank, and
Yeah, that's cool.
I got a petcock with a reserve.
With a reserve.
And then I'd get lots of these old radiator caps and convert them so you can run it on a standard fuel fill. This one's an old Essex one.
Oh, cool. It's right reverse, isn't it? That's cool.
Yeah, so that's it's going to be kind of this cobalty magenta purple with copper leaf. It's going to have some old school flames on it and stuff. I actually just brought it home from the shop the other day because I'm maybe going to paint it next week just to see before I paint the whole bike. I'm just going to do the tank first. Yeah. And then if I like how the tank turns out, then it's easy to paint the rest of it because you already know the colors and stuff and your design and so on.
So is that going in a hardtail frame as well then?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. If you're still on the website, if you go, it's the very last build on the Outdoor Works. It's the very last one. The Bomber.
Yeah, I don't think it's
it's
Outdoor Works. And
let's go to
that's the Harley project, is it?
Yeah. I can't remember if I posted still pictures of it or if it's just all in the video. I don't remember. I think there's some still pictures.
Yeah, I think there's just no, I think the last still picture is your flame bike, and then underneath a video of you looking like you're taking some measurements off a crank or something.
On the video, then it shows you, because that's the one that's got those Victorian table leg supports for the fender supports.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So when are you on schedule with that build then? Is that?
Well, yes, it's on schedule, and that's only because there's never really a schedule.
Fair enough.
You know, it gets done when it gets done. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm going to try something. Bomber. There's the table leg support.
Yep.
And then the hardtail. And in this picture, the tanks that on it is another tank that I built for. It's a stainless steel tank. It's like that's the tank that I have here is a tank that's going to go on it, but it's a whole. I don't know.
Yep, I can see that. Yeah, that's cool.
But the pyramid tank is, I don't know, it's going to go on something else. I opted to switch it up a bit.
No, that's cool. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, and so I mean, I'm hoping to have it done spring-ish, because most of the fabrication stuff is done now. I've got a buddy of mine that's he's a stainless steel fab guy, and I've given him an oil tank to weld together for me, and it'll be a see-through tank like on the copper bike. I'll use those sight glasses and stuff like that. And once I have that tank, I'm pretty much ready for assembly, and then see what pieces I need to make or whatever. But I think it's pretty much going to from there. Because I've had it together, taken it apart, had it together, as you're fitting stuff and whatever. Yeah. So it's pretty close to getting there. Yeah, it'd be nice to have that on the road this year coming up. Just to my buddy, he passed away, and he always wanted me to help him build a bike, and he kind of likes my style. So it was kind of a free reign project. And the result was he was going to have a nice bike to ride, and maybe it made a magazine or something, and so we kind of got started on it really a couple of years. But he was working all kinds of crazy hours and stuff like that, and he wanted to participate in the whole process. So I was kind of working at his speed, not my speed. Not that my speed's much faster or whatever, but if anything I wanted to do, I was always trying to get a hold of him to, let him know. But as it turned out, he passed away, and so his folks, they knew that we were pretty tight. So his folks said, you might as well just take it and finish it. You already know what it's supposed to be, so you might as well just finish it. And then once it's done, I'll be the custodian, and it'll become my motorcycle through custodian has to be different because the original intended custodian of it, he won't be able to perform that duty. So now it's on me. So I won't sell that bike. Not that I ever sell them, but I won't sell that bike. I'll just keep it and ride it. And it's my, first V twin that I've had. So it's,
see, I keep thinking of, like really I need to sell my ZX10 to kind of obviously fund building my shed and things. And obviously, like I said to you before, like the whole purpose of like one of the points of me doing all of this was that I'd video my builds. And I think, realistically, like it isn't practical. Like, and then obviously I get out on it. And then when I do get out onto them country roads where you can have a bit of fun with it, and like people look at it and they're like, oh, that's cool. And it's like, do I really get rid of it? And I think it's hard. I think especially when you put so much time and effort into building something, and like for whatever reason, it's been a bit of a struggle for you to do it, and then you still manage to get it done. It becomes part of your life, doesn't it?
It does. And I have that problem with everything that I do. Like my artwork, I get a piece of artwork done, and I don't want to get rid of it. I can't afford to keep it. Yeah. I can't afford to keep my own work because it subsidizes other things. But it's just once it's done and you put your time and your thought and your storytelling and stuff into it, then you just want to keep it as your own.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And it's so like you say, so your current projects are finishing the Harley.
Finishing the Harley, and I got a bunch of artwork on the go. My sculpture stuff. And I've been over the last couple of months, I've been starting something, and then I got this idea, and then I start something else, and
I'm like that.
Yeah, like
I've got a Street Bob primary cover that I started engraving about 4 months ago, and I go in the shed like to put bike out to go out on bike, and I look at it and I'm like, I really need to get that cover, that primary cover finished. I said to Mrs. "Oh, it's all right, I'll get it done, and it'd be worth X amount of money because obviously, a fully engraved primary cover it'll fetch a fair bit of money." And I've just kind of just moved on to something else. Obviously, I'm trying to obviously continue to build the social media platform and things like that. It's taking up more time, and it is what it is. But it will get done. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't own a Harley, so I need to get it done.
How much engraving do you do?
I haven't, to be honest, I haven't done any for about a month.
But do you have a picture? Like, do you have a sample? Is there something a guy can see that you've done?
Yeah, I mean, there's some pre-recorded live videos up on the 666 Facebook page. But obviously, what I do is when I next go out to the shed, I'll take some little videos and I'll send you them on private message so you can have a look. I mean, it's all like very tattoo style theme, So I've done like a skull and a spider's web. and then I've done like 13 and the word Harley Davidson and some flames. Because obviously with the street bob being that they were like a crinkled, like the crinkled black finish. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, look at that. Yeah,
that's the moon.
Wow.
That's a piece of finished.
So for people that have just seen that, if they wanted to order a piece of artwork from you, where would be the best place for them to reach out to you?
Well, if you go to the Thinking Monkey, the www.thinkingmonkey.ca.
Yep.
There's like a bio, a little thing about me, and then there's a section that says inside works, outside works, and then there's a contact page. Then there's a contact page that you can just email me, and if something that you wanted to do. My style is very Aboriginal. I have Aboriginal in my like there's that's the octopus with the crab on his head. So all of it, like I write a story using traditional characteristics of the animals, but with my own story. I always describe it as, everybody knows the story, kind of the famous stories of, so I say that those are the stories on what happened on Saturday night. I tell a story that what happened on Tuesday night, a little less formal in the tradition, but at the same time, a plausible story that comes from, my brain, and that's the artistic part of it, not just doing creative stuff. If you go to my Instagram, I just posted, I've got this mineral, and I wanted to do something with the mineral, and I kind of had to do a proof of concept in it. So I don't know if
So for people that want to follow you on Instagram, that's Robert Lund. What's the
Robert.Lund.
Robert.Lund.
.313.
Robert.Lund. I mean, all this information will be put up on. I think when I go live, for some reason it doesn't allow me to put up all the relevant information. But what I do after is I re-edit the description, and then there'll be all the relevant links on there. And obviously for those people that follow me on Instagram anyway, I quite often post like links to everyone's stuff up on the story anyway, on how to reach everybody.
Yeah, and so this one right here, so it's a piece of black polished granite.
Wow.
And polishing granite, by the way, really quite sucks.
I can imagine.
But what's really cool, I posted a video the other day. I'm just going to see if I can turn it around so you can see it better.
It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it's probably 20 pounds or something, maybe. I don't know. Maybe even 30 pounds. I don't know. So it's called The Bear That Walks in the Night Sky. But all the stuff that's black, black in here and in the face is, I use this mineral, and the mineral glows. So if you turn out all the lights in the room, the bear's face glows blue.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I did that for proof of concept I've got this big piece that I'm doing, and I wanted to make sure that this stuff worked. And now
that's cool.
Now that I know how it works, what I'm probably going to do on that tank that I was working on is I can mix it, because it crushed up into like a fine powder.
Yeah.
So I can put it in clear. So when I outline the flames on the tank, I'll just do a pinstripe with that glow stuff in the clear.
Yeah.
So that then in complete darkness, there'll be a outline
that's cool.
of the flames. So yeah, that's
cool.
That's the theory.
That's good as that.
Yeah,
so so I'm gonna have to. That's awesome.
I don't know if this. These are hawks or guardians.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's.
I made these little ones that you can, kind of get guardians out in the world protecting.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, and again, like so for everyone that wants to read more of an in depth of like how, because I think, like you say, it's all on your website. So that's the monk.
Thinkin Monkey.
Thinkingmonkey.ca, www.thinkingmonkey.ca, and obviously, I've spent a bit of time. Great, it's really interesting to see how you've gone about thinking about all this stuff, and it's definitely worth a look.
Yeah. It's something translates into other, and it's like even when you see other bike builders and other artists and things like that, it's neat to see what your distribution method for your ideas is. To get that stuff out of here
100%.
and get it, into the world. Like we talked about it last time, when you, what was my favorite bike to work on or whatever. It's like, it's not that. It's making something cool that I think is cool. I go, you know what? I'm building it for me. I'm making something I think is cool. And then when you get the respect from other people that say, oh yeah, man, no, that's cool. They don't, might not know what it is, but they know it's cool. That's kind of where you get your charge, right?
Definitely.
You never go into something thinking you're going to make a bunch of money, because that's not the general outcome.
No, that's it, and that's definitely. So so I think for today, I think we'll leave it there for today, Robert, and we'll do another one anyway, because like I say, because I know I speak to you quite a bit off camera, and it'll be good to get some of your, like, hopefully in the future we can get where you're at the workshop or with your friends and that we can do another kind of, because I know, like, obviously I speak to you quite a bit, don't I? So I know you're a very busy man behind the scenes as well. So we'll
on Saturday gone by, we did my photographer buddy. He came out and we did a Ghost Rider shoot.
Yeah.
So we had on one of my other choppers. I have a 66 BSA as well, chop hardtail, but it's a little bit of a greasier bike, like more. My thought was more styled for Ghost Rider type of thing. So I had this girl come out and she was Ghost Rider, and we got it so the wheels are all on fire and she's fire everywhere.
That's cool. That's cool. So that again, so for the people that are, because I know at the moment we've got a few people that are tuned in. So for those of you that really want to see how busy Robert is, go over and check out all his platforms.
And I started posting too, like little mystery clips of things I'm working on without really showing you anything. It's just like, I'm working on this.
That's cool.
Can't tell what it is, and just trying to just get out there a little bit.
That is cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to. I've got to actually. I didn't realise the time. I've got to actually shoot off now. So we'll. I mean, to be fair, we've actually. See, I think we've actually had a private video call and spoke for even longer than this. We've been on nearly an hour and a half. So obviously I speak to you quite a bit, and people need to tune in for what you're doing, because it's definitely cool. Definitely cool.
Well, I like to think so, and at the end of the day, you only got to keep yourself happy, right?
100%.
And whoever 100%. Else joins in on the trip is everybody's welcome. But at the end of the day, I'm the guy. You're the guy. You got to keep yourself happy.
Definitely. And that's it. I think, and I like, obviously, like before I end up waffling on too much, it's like when you're doing what you love anyway, you don't even care about what anyone else is even. I mean, obviously, it's great when people love it. When they do, and it's. But generally, you find, like, so far, I mean, I know this is the 12th podcast. Obviously, this is the second attempt on doing. There seems to be every time, like tonight, the thing's fallen falling down behind me. So every time I speak to you, so I think by the third attempt, which we'll do another one because we'll get more updated on what you've got going on. And yes, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Here, watch in a second.
Yeah, that's sick. And so there you are, guys. I mean, for you guys that are watching now, you just got to tune into this man's platform because he's definitely living that life. That's for sure.
Yeah, the little bit of insanity with a little bit of logic, and it all turns into what it turns into.
Awesome. So we'll have to leave it here, Robert. And again, so thinkinmonkey.ca for everyone that wants to take the time and read the stories that you're telling on the inspiration behind most of your unique takes on art. And obviously I'll put the links down on this anyway for people to follow you on Instagram and Facebook. And I think we spoke before that you're looking to maybe also get your YouTube channel up and going as well. I think something along the lines of that.
Yeah, at some point I'll send you. Something so you can just watch it and be humored. But
absolutely,
it was just before COVID. We did a pilot, me and a friend of mine, and it was actually getting lots of people like, "Oh yeah, you got to do it." And then COVID came, and it kind of went away. So we've just been working on maybe getting it fired up and doing it a YouTube channel like what you're doing.
Yeah, that's it.
See if we can snowball it into, I don't know, something.
Well, the thing is like obviously between the 3 platforms that you've already got, so your website and your 2 social media platforms, you've certainly got enough content there to create a great page. So,
you were telling, like when we were before we go here, so we were talking and about all the views and stuff that you've been getting and how well you're doing. I got yesterday. Instagram sent me like a little note saying you had 444 views. I'm like, holy crap, like that's, because you never.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, you never think about it, but
no, but
it turns out that way.
That's it. So we'll have to. I say, mate, I didn't realise what time it is. I've got to head off. I don't want to. But either way, we'll definitely do this again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, get rolling, and maybe I can, after being the second time participant, maybe I'll be the third time participant.
100%. I mean, to be fair, if we uploaded all the hours that we've already spoke, it'd be enough to create a movie.
Yeah.
Well, we're already, I say, an hour and a half already today. It's so good.
Technical glitch day was 2 hours. Yeah. And then,
it was, and for some reason it cut down to 50 minutes. But No. Anyways, I'd say so. Appreciate you jumping on there again with me.
We'll get in touch later.
Definitely. So I'll catch up with. Yeah, look at that. That's cool.
That's cool. A bracelet, a frog bracelet. Like I said, get stuff started and then get other ideas. And anyways, let's carry on.
I'm like that. I'm like that.
It's just midday now here for me. So. My day's just beginning. You're just getting rolling.
Yeah,
I'm saying shut her down.
Well, to be fair, I've actually got to head out. I'm really bad at organising things. So I've got somebody literally just waiting outside for me. They're like, right, we're off, and I'm like, just give me 2 minutes. So we'll definitely. I'll speak to you on the messengers anyway.
Yeah.
So. All right, then, mate.
Have a good day.
Catch you later, bud.
Ciao.